is autistic memory. Just give it a moment. There you go. This describes what kind of place it is, what food it does, and
just loud or busy.
loud or busy. And our final feature is Google Maps. So if you click on this button here, it will take you to a port of Google Maps that functions exactly like the normal one. So you can search venues, gives you directions, you can look at ratings of all restaurants and places you want that the app has suggested for you. And that's it. That is search.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So this is a project they made this of their own passion. Teacher didn't assign this to them, right? And so this is the power of computational action. That's a pretty sophisticated app. And that gives you a sense of, these tools are becoming so accessible and so capable for kids. They can make some pretty impressive things that can make a real difference in the lives of their friends and their family and their community. So again, just to illustrate like what kids can actually do with these kinds of tools and these kinds of curriculum. So that's middle school. I can tell you, like, we actually want to bring AI literacy to kids of all ages. So this is just a different age group project we've been exploring. So looking more at early elementary, so grades 1 through 3, where we've been looking at the role of interactive stories, but with AI embedded interactives, games, characters that not only, again, go through a kind of narrative arc, which engages kids, but can introduce them to all kinds of concepts and ideas and, things that exist in their world around AI and robotics. So it's meant to be playful. There are characters that, children can get emotionally vested in this kind of story arc. I can tell you the main protagonist is a little robot called Doodlebot. He wants to be an artist. And he's told by adults that robots only can do dull, dirty, dangerous things, that he can't be an artist. So the narrative is all about the reader, who is a young child, and Caleb, who's modeling a slightly older peer, and the amazing robot lab, who actually try to help Doodlebot learn various artistic skills using generative AI to audition to get into Camp Creative. So that's just the narrative arc. So kids, we can tell you, we've been deploying this. Kids get very emotionally engaged in Doodlebot's quest to get into Camp Creative so he can learn to be an artist. Because I think a lot of times little kids are told, you can't do that, right? And so I think there's a lot of resonance about, of course you can do that, I'm going to help you do that. So again, it empowers kids, right? So this is just a highlight of one particular game I want to highlight in the very first book, where kids can design their own robots. So they learn about robots, learn about technologies of robots in a really fun, light way. Through this, game app, they can design their own robot. They can say what their robot will do, and then they can set the scale of the robot. So this is, again, one of the interactive games in the story.
My robot is good at throwing parties.
Your idea of what your robot does, and then you choose a style, and then generative AI will actually make a cool image of your robot, right? So
wow, a robot that's good at throwing parties sounds like so much fun.
And then generative
AI
really
bring people together and create wonderful memories.
So generative AI allows, again, these characters would really have contextual dialogue around what the child's idea was, right? So again, these tools are becoming pretty powerful that can create really engaging experiences. So I just want to share with you, this was literally done by kids in the 3rd grade. The robots that they conceptualized, that they designed, there's a lot of things around. I love this robot, a robot with hands to make sure everyone has a hand to hold. There's a lot of stories about taking care of people. Very human-centric goals. Some of them are about learning how to cook and doing homework too, but again, just to show, again, the hearts and the spirit of young children and what they aspire robots to do and be in their world. And this is a kind of a set of stories and games that allow them to really articulate that and explore that. So that's for young kids. I want to show you another robot. This is, again, a brand new robot that we've been building called, I'm going to call this one Scribblebot. It's like the older sibling of Doodlebot in the stories, where he is a robot that helps you learn about AI through coding things. So he's a cool coding platform, and robotics brings together vision and speech recognition and text-to-speech, all kinds of technology. This robot can draw, like Doodlebot in the kids' stories, but he's like the physical robot. And so we're also looking at ways that marry kids' own artistic creativity kinds of tasks with this robot. So this is a demo, I'll just give you a taste of the Doodlebot platform.
Hello, in this video, I'm going to be doing an actual is my face about something that I like. But
So again, kids can program this.
let's do it. Before we can run this chat interaction, first we'll train a teachable machine model on my face so Doodlebot can recognize who I am. Luckily, we can do this using the Raise Playground.
So we've designed a
me show you how.
Scratch-based programming at the Risk
In order
Playground.
to train the teachable
like
machine
App
model,
Inventor,
first we'll need to get training images
Integrates a
of
lot
my
of state-of-the-art
face
AI
and background.
capabilities.
Because using capture
This demo is a teachable means application, easy to train your own machine learning models. So basically leveraging teachable mean, she's training a face recognition model, so Doodlebot can recognize her face. She's bringing it in. Here, this is a teachable machine interface. These are examples of images with her face in the image, with her face not. Action based on that model.
Hi, Maya.
So again, these are all blocks kids can use, speech recognition, text to speech.
You like mountains, right?
And you can see this little dialogue.
Watch this.
And now he's going to draw something that she likes. She likes mountains, so he's going to draw a simple image of mountains. So again, this brings AI into the physical world, which I think is an important dimension. It's particularly engaging for kids to do and see things in the real world. So this is an example. We recently brought Doodlebot to Dubai Heights Academy, and they're doing a curriculum with Doodlebot. I just want you to see the excitement and what happens when something's real and not just on a screen, because I think we're almost forgetting the power of the real world engagement and these AI technologies. It's too much to sit in front of a screen. But, victory dance, because you can draw a circle. I mean, again, you can't, this is authentic excitement, right? So we want to make more interactions like this possible for kids. So again, AI on screen is great, but the real world is also pretty important. So I'm going to kind of end the talk with some highlights around programs that have reached global scale, as well as some early work in looking at workforce skilling and training. So just to say all of that, again, philosophy, pedagogy, we've built it into short format curriculum that we've deployed in the Day of AI program. A lot of what we do, the thing that's, I think, interesting and important about Day of AI is that any teacher can teach it. We've done a lot of units that are relevant to art and climate and science and social media. So different kinds of teachers can take these short format modules and bring it to their students. And here you can see number of downloads. It's pretty even around elementary, middle school, and high school, and even AP computer science, so advanced computer science. There are plugged and unplugged activities, so you don't even have to have a computer to do some of these modules. So we're trying to really reach a broad range of technology-enabled classrooms. Again, free and open, which is important. Teachers can customize and modify the curriculum to suit their educational, cultural context. We see many, many teachers doing that. And it's aligned with the UNESCO and OECD AI competency frameworks. So this is one of our big flagship programs. We've done studies involving, teacher surveys across multiple countries, looking at measures. These are measures relevant to the UNESCO AI competency thing, so the ability to understand the ethical implications of AI, the ability to make things, the ability to solve problems creatively. These are all the kinds of measures that we can see, even with the short format curriculum. We're seeing a lot of engagement around it. So again, even with the short format curriculum, you can see very positive things. I'm going to skip this video in interest of time. And this is just to highlight, as I mentioned earlier, we care a lot about preparing teachers. This is a recent study that was published in WISE, where we actually deployed and looked at a number of different AI literacy curricula across these countries. So again, looking at the cross-cultural aspect, again, there's a number of AI literacy curriculum out there that are available for teachers. So these are examples of them: AI for Education, Code.org, Google, Microsoft, and then ours, Day of AI. And so I'll just say the punchline here is, when you looked at teachers' learning outcomes of AI literacy, we scored the highest in Day of AI. And when you ask teachers their preparedness to actually bring the materials, teach AI literacy to their students, the highest for Day of AI. So just to say, there are a lot of really high quality materials out there for teacher professional development and for teacher AI literacy. The Day of AI, I think, is among, it's a very high quality curriculum. So anyway, so here's the punchline is, Open and free, you can adapt and localize. We do teacher training and train the trainer programs. And in terms of impact, as of end of 2025, we had already trained 75,000 teachers. In 2026, we hope to reach 250,000 teachers around the world, over 170 countries. We've already reached over 6 million students, hope to dramatically increase that through a lot of strategic collaborations we have now. So again, this is a program at scale. Many teachers around the world use it. These are assets that I feel are tried and true. So I just want to make you aware of them. We did a big event in Dubai in November, leaders from 35 countries, all unified in this idea of we need to prepare our students for a human-led future with AI. I thought that was very, very encouraging. And all very interested in deploying Dave AI in their countries. All right, so that's K-12. In the last minutes, this is a brand new project, but we're starting to look at vocational technical. So I can tell you whenever I spoke before about K-12, the next question people would ask me, what about two-year college? What about technical students? They clearly want to prepare there from the era of AI. So we recently got a grant from google.org to start doing that. So this is really about how do you upskill students, both entry level, and I can tell you there's actually a lot of interest in companies now to use the same materials for current employees also. But for the opportunity to reach many, many more students than just those highest performing students at four-year institutions. This is just to highlight, there's been a number of reports written about where the whole AI jobs marketplace is going. And this report actually highlighted a number of key aspects that we've already integrated into our approach. So they call it balanced development. I would call it holistic development. Just the importance of it's not just about the technical skills, it's about responsible ethical design and the human skills. It needs to all come together. Experiential learning, I've been talking a lot about hands-on learning. There's a lot of MOOCs out there where you watch videos. It's like, if you want to make things with AI, you learn through making things with AI, right? So they talk about the importance of experiential learning in teams on authentic problems, and you can work with industry to figure out what those problems and contexts might be. Work-learn training, apprenticeships, internships. The bar is getting higher for students. Companies expect them to be able to do more when they hire into entry-level positions than they used to. So I actually think these apprenticeships and these internships are becoming a critical part of the education to training to job pipeline. Build these things in partnership with your stakeholders, so across industry, government. And related to this are stackable micro-credentials that are aligned to the in-demand skills. So to know what the in-demand skills are across industries, you actually have to talk to industry. So anyway, those are parts that I think have really guided our approach, and this is just an insight of Eric Brynjolfsson is a professor in the business school at Stanford who makes the point that when you can empower people to create new value with AI, they're always going to be more successful for businesses than replacing people. That's the punchline. And then in many ways, AI is not going to replace people. It's that people who have AI skills will be more competitive for those jobs. So this is all about empowerment and how do you train people to create new value with AI. That's what our program is really about. Again, this is the human skills matrix. This was developed within open learning. These kinds of dimensions of human skills are integrated into the curriculum that we're designing. And we have a pedagogical approach that we call action learning labs. So there are 4 major components that really integrate those principles that I talked to you about. So, obviously there are technical modules. They're learning, practical, in-demand technical skills identified and co-designed with industry in terms of what those technical skills should be. We apply them to real-world authentic problems. So they're actually learning AI in business operations, AI in healthcare, AI in climate, sourced from industry, collaborated with industry, integrating, as I mentioned, the human skills and the responsible design skills as they're learning the technical skills. And then the path action labs are like capstones that are baked into the course. So after they learn these skills, they apply them to solve a new problem with someone from industry. So this is the authentic learning part of it. And the hope is that gives them experiences and things that build their resume that help them get an internship or apprenticeship. And then these are all aligned with stackable micro-credentials. So that's kind of the pedagogical approach. We've already prototyped these 4 topics. These are being driven by we've done a lot of analysis of LinkedIn profiles, what are the skills being asked for jobs today, And these are the core kind of AI topics that we've decided on. We will be putting all of this on OpenCourseWare when we're feeling that they're fully baked. So these will also be made open and free. And then, how do you scale it? So we have this model. This is how we're thinking about building national capacity with this program, where we're going state by state by state. And for this grant, we're funded to create 5 hubs. And the hope is by proving it out in 5 states, we then can make the case that we can scale this across all 50 states. So in the model, typically, it doesn't have to be, typically a university is the hub for the states because they have often the relationships with other 2- and 4-year colleges, with industry, and with government, and with funding sources. So they're the convener of this ecosystem. Again, that other slide talked about the importance of building ecosystems. Each state builds its ecosystem. A lot of them are already in the process of doing that. But the universities also can create new educational content allied to hiring in that state, as well as professional development. So the capacity building, again, is often being kind of driven by the university hub. Again, through this grant, we're going to be able to spin up 5 different hubs. And basically, these are, as I already highlighted, the kind of major efforts that each ecosystem will do. We're already starting to get interest on international hubs as well. So this is the model we're trying to prove out. And, there's a lot of wins for students and for industries when we think about building these ecosystems and working together. Often universities don't collaborate closely with government or industry, but I think in the era of AI, we have to. But of course, there's benefits for talent acquisitions, for young talent finding jobs that are with the right skills that are in demand, capacity building of training, both people in the workplace, capacity building programs in the workplace, as well as 2- and 4-year colleges. Again, upskilling in AI with micro-credentials, stackable micro-credentials that are validated by industries because they were co-designed with industries across these different applications. Building insights and relationships in terms of how you do this at scale and how you replicate that model. And the big goal is to move towards shared prosperity, where many, many more people have access to this training and to jobs in the era of AI. Right now, it's not the case that there's a lot of opportunity for students attending vocational technical schools in AI. So this is really the other big goal of the project, is many, many more people should have access to this training to be competitive in the AI era. So I'm almost at time. That's pretty much what I have for you today. Right now I feel too much dialogue around putting technology at the center. And if we do that, there's a lot of bad things that could happen in terms of, widening learning gaps and disenfranchising students and having technology dictate our future. We don't want that, right? We want a human-led future with AI. We need to put people at the center. And so again, just kind of to wrap things up, we want to bridge these learning divides. We want to create more opportunities for shared prosperity. We want to create, again, an ethos of agency and empowerment for our learners so they don't over-rely on these technologies. We want them to be holistically prepared with the human skills, plus the technical skills, plus the responsible design skills. So we create things that make sense and put people at the center and not technology at the center, so that we can all help, again, leverage AI and so forth to make a better world. So with that, thank you so much. I think I'm right at time. And this is the QR code that I was given to show you.
Okay, thank you
Great,
so
thank you.
much. That was really an informative, promising, and reassuring session, hearing how we can look into AI and lead it rather than making it control us. I'll give you some
Thank you.
couple of seconds to have some water, and we can open it for the audience's questions, and we can have a couple of questions over here and there. Yeah, Dr. Musa.
Thank you very much. I first want to thank the foundation through its president for such an interesting lecture, and the science department for organizing this. Thank you so much for presenting a balanced presentation where you even mentioned ethical questions through your presentation. And please allow me to be the devil's advocate for all on this. When we are talking about AI for the future, and I'm a pro AI, by the way. Are we seeing a trend where we're creating islands of isolation for young adults and adults in general, where we will be depending on a robot to live our life, and forgetting that we still have social identity and social life. And the second question through that, what we're doing to creativity and critical thinking. I think because we're on a partner who's a robot. The second or third question that I have, are we going to create some sort of discrimination or segregation between the have it and the have not, where we in the third world may not have access to such technology if I'm living in New York or London? And would that create not third world, but maybe fifth or sixth world?
Yeah, so thank you very much for those questions. I will say, to your first point, a lot of what we're trying to do is show there are risks. There's possible upsides of AI, but there are risks. That third slide was trends you're seeing with young people, over-reliance, diminished trust, diminished social, like, yes, those are real risks. And so we are trying to not only educate and bring awareness, but develop pedagogical materials and professional development that prioritize their creativity and problem solving of people, led by people with AI. All of our materials follow that ethos. So yes, where I would be concerned, and I think you can see other dialogues that are promoted by large AI companies that are very technology centered. I hate it, all right? It's like, we're gonna replace, all knowledge workers with, these are the kinds of things that they say. And it's like, who wants that? So this is kind of trying to be an antidote, frankly, to that. And it's not just saying we have to build AI differently. We have to educate our people to have the antidote against that kind of usage and that kind of discussion. We need a human-led future, and that relies a lot on people. So our whole program is trying to cultivate critical thinking, creativity, ethos, all of that. I see it as an antidote, right? So there's policy and there's regulation, there's how you design the technology, and then there's the people. Most people are talking about policy and technology. People are a critical piece of that puzzle. And the kind of meta point is there's a lot of great materials that exist. It's not like I'm just saying, this is a problem. I'm saying this is a problem, and there's actually stuff that can be used to help counteract it. Publicly available, open source, used, right? So anyway, it's like we're not kind of helpless at the moment. There's things we can do about it. So that's the big thing. In terms of again, this relationship with AI, there is a big concern right now, and again, it's not being helped by a lot of the kind of media discussion of AI can replace workers and AI can do all this for you, right? I'm saying we need to really design a different kind of relationship and collaboration. So all the things that you saw was not the robot doing things for you, it's promoting the learning of children and engagement of children and advancing their own learning and development, but supporting it through a different kind of relationship. And again, not trying to be the teacher, not trying to be the doctor, being something complementary that helps to extend and enhance the student, the patient, the clinician, we see it as a teammate. And that's a different framing. It's a different framing than a lot of what you hear in the media. So I'm hoping in this talk, you're understanding I'm trying to present a very different kind of vision because we are dominated, I think, by a very technology actual things towards that human-led vision. So thank you for those questions. I want to make sure that's the message I'm trying to share with you all is we can be on a different path and there's actionable things we can do to be on that path. So, yeah. Okay, so this is the other interesting thing. So that KPMG report that I showed, they did a whole study on usage, trust, et cetera, and they surveyed 47 countries of day-to-day people who is using AI regularly. Interestingly, the emerging economies were at the very top. The developed countries, much less so. So I think there's a sense in emerging economies that this is something that if done well, done right, done responsibly, can really help prepare growth and opportunity, and they want to be there. So to me, that was very encouraging, and I acknowledge there's infrastructure and all those things, but just to say, if you look, if you look at that chart, it's dominated by emerging economies in terms of people who are adopting it now. They need to be, all these things need to be there, but the populace is leaning in, which I would say is also why the AI literacy is so critical. So I think a number, and then again, we're in 170 countries. I think a lot of economies and governments see this as the opportunity to compete on the world stage if they can harness it appropriately. So the opportunity is there. But a lot of things also have to come together, like you said, infrastructure, all these things have to, education, they all have to come together. But I'm just telling you the trend is I think it's being adopted more readily and at a higher level on the reports that I've seen. So there's an opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay,
I would
I'll let
suggest,
her
just
talk.
in the sake of
Yeah.
time, to take a couple of questions from each side, just to give everyone the chance, because we also have
Yeah.
online questions.
Okay.
Another question, Dr. Fawaz, yeah.
Well, thank you very much for this very stimulating, interesting, and badly needing talk to our student. I am in charge of three things. I'm a curriculum development for research, and I'm teaching at university level. And as mentioned by our colleague here, we should distinguish between third world countries, because what we face at university level, instead of using wisely the AI, our students are cheating in using AI. We no longer trust their ability in doing the assignment and following up. Not used our students, and sometimes they have literacy in using. They go back to AI, but they don't understand what they are using.
Right.
And actually, we are suffering with how are we going to control, despite we have a code of ethics
Yeah.
that is spread all over by the
Yeah.
students, but students refused. We used to be the source of information, professors, but we are no more the source of information. The students, they think now they can have open access to all source of information, but unfortunately, in third world countries, they are abusing, misusing, and disusing all the opportunities affiliated with artificial intelligence. So I just need implications, recommendations at university level,
Yeah.
at curriculum designer,
Yeah.
and for how are we going to deal with the stakeholders?
Yeah.
And also, when it comes to scientific research, again, they are totally dominated by AI. It is so difficult to distinguish which is which, the real, authentic, or
Yeah.
the AI material produced by artificial intelligence. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, I will just share with you, that problem is not just third world, everywhere. The United States, same concerns. So this is a moment we're in. I can tell you that's why I'm such a huge proponent of early intervention in K-12, because at the youngest ages we can, they need to learn that their agency in the learning process is critical, or they will never develop the skills. So like we're already developing literally primary curriculum to build that understanding and the mindsets on how to use AI to promote your learning. Because the problem is, as that one slide showed, most students are using it and have had zero guidance on how to, and they don't realize the real detriment that could have on them. And so this is why early intervention and reinforcing that, and I can tell you in projects, having the instructors actually model proper use, it's a skill. Even using these tools, I can tell you. And we've done university studies, and we've seen high-performing students use the technology differently than lower-performing students. It's a skill. And so professors have started to teach the skill through assignments and so forth to show the lower-performing students how they can use these tools to support their learning and deeper understanding. So it is also a skill. So anyway, there's no easy solution, but I think education as early as possible, impressing upon children, like you learn through productive struggle. Getting the answer from AI and there's been studies, may feel like learning, but when you look at post-test, you're not learning at all. I just think we need to engage students in that dialogue. And this dialogue of mistrust is a huge one too. I put up a bullet of students feel that teachers don't trust them. Like, the human relationship between humans, between teachers and students is so foundational. And when you don't trust each other, like, that's something we have to also counteract. So like, it's just, this is where we're at. We need to move things into a more positive direction, but these questions or these issues, it's not just third world countries, it's everywhere. It is everywhere. So we need to, address it, We're gonna.
Last question from this side. Hashim, if you may pass the mic.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for the great session. I get really excited when I see the post on the Facebook that there is someone from IT will talk about robotics, because it's my passion, the robotics. At the beginning, I really like the presentation, and I get excited when I see Scratch MIT, because when I a school student, I build a lot of application on an MIT App Inventor. By the way, I'm of a social enterprise that's called Robotna, and we do a lot of similar things that I have seen in the presentation. We have a huge initiative that's called Innovation Nation. In Arabic, it's called Ummat al-Ibtikar. We worked with Showman 2 years ago. They support us to make this initiative bigger. The idea about this initiative is to teach the school students and the teacher around the Arab regions about AI and the application of AI. We started before ChatGPT. We teach them about face recognition, machine learning, and data, and so on. I want to learn from you, or if you give me the secret sauce, how to make this initiative in a huge impact, and how to take it to the next level. Now we are reaching around 20,000 students in the Arab region, with around 600 schools. They are benefiting from our initiative, and now it's becoming the biggest open and free AI platform. We have more than 1 million visits monthly on the platform, but it's not on the global level. So I want to learn from you, because lots of initiative in the global level, how we could take Innovation Nation to make a greater impact, especially in our region. Thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, I will just share that I think a lot of our ability to scale at a global level is just convening power also. I mentioned we had the summit in November. I think there's a lot of like-minded countries right now, and it was leaders from, the ministries of education, nonprofits, STEM education companies, like every kind of layer of that ecosystem. I think they're ready to have that kind of dialogue, and I think, certainly being able, you probably already doing this, but, there actually are, I think the positive thing is there actually are a lot of high-quality materials out there. I'm talking about some things that MIT has done, but by no means, like on that one slide, I showed a lot of companies, honestly, Google, Code.org, are producing these kinds of materials. So it's important to be able to show the positive benefits in particular, because it's a increasingly crowded marketplace. I think that's important. And then I think there's so many AI education conferences now all over the world. Probably just being there and showing people your work, I think is also a part of it. So I mean, this is no kind of like secret epiphany here, but I think just there's just getting the word out. But there are a lot of convenings that are happening in this region and around the world. So going to some of those major conferences and just talking to people about your work to build the awareness of it, I think is just part of the process. But it is becoming an increasingly crowded space, I would say. But that just shows there's a lot of interest, and a lot of need, so.
Thank you. Shall we move here?
Thanks a lot. Quick question about your experience, commercial experience in building robots with Rodney Brooks and the previous work there. If you were to skip a couple of steps now and build up robots out of Jordan or an emerging country, what steps would you skip and what would you avoid?
So I would say the gestalt. You can build successful products. The challenge is having a successful business case. So I built Jibo. The reason why I can deploy these all around the country is it's a super robust platform that you can only build if you have a well-funded startup to go through all the design for manufacturing, do the whole thing, right? We had a very successful product. Our timing was awful people talk about startups, timing, like whatever, talent, luck, time, like when we first announced Geo, it was the summer before Alexa was announced that winter. So we had this amazing groundbreaking concept. We thought, whoa, look, we've set the price point, everything, based on that. And now there's a $40 speaker that Amazon basically is saying AI is free. Set up a very unfair, and with all the resources of Amazon, and then Google, and then, right? So we just had really bad timing. So I would say in general, still with robotics, startups and companies, the challenge is not building a successful product, the challenge has been coming up with a successful business case. So a lot of attention, because these large companies have kind of put it into the consumer mindset that the AI is free, now you build a physical robot, and so how do they differentiate what your robot can do, which requires, a lot of AI, but $40 for a speaker versus a robot that can do so much more, they still associate that value proposition. So it had a gravitational pull on the price point. Okay, so I will say this. Consumer is the race to the bottom market. The opportunity is B2B. In B2B, particularly in healthcare, there's a real ROI. You can charge what it would really cost to build a robot if you have a really workable solution. Because there are, I don't know, maybe it's different here, but in the United States, it's extremely expensive. If you can really show a cost savings because of the robot in the home, like there's actually a real business case to be there. So all I say is probably B2B, not B2C, and really get the business case. And I think companies can be successful. Because again, we've seen many examples of the robots can be a very successful product. It's the business case. How do you make revenue? How do you, and then you'll have other competitors, right? So it's more about that, I would say. I think it's much more about that. Where's my?
Yeah, another question.
No, thank you. I'm pleased to see that you see your work as an antidote to commercial technology and military-driven AI. How confident are you that you'll be able to, not alone, but with others, counteract that trend? How difficult, how big the challenge is?
Well, again, I think part of there may be more than 3 legs to the stool of how to counteract. Again, there's regulation and policy. There's the technology itself, how you design that. I think there's a lot of challenge there because it doesn't seem companies are very interested in making that ethical or responsible right now. And then there's education. So education at scale, I feel, especially we are working a lot with K-12 schools. When you look at things like Scratch, the big impact was outside of school, right? They weren't trying to get it into the public or the school education system, but if you really want to reach every student, you have to get into the formal education system because otherwise you're self-selecting which students will choose to do it, right? So our strategy has been to try to engage with collaborators, partners who can engage at scale in actual schools and train actual teachers. I think if you can do that, then you've got a sport, but every literacy curriculum. And so there's challenges there, obviously, because teachers have so much they have to teach. We've been designing short format curriculum to try to make it achievable to fit in with all that teachers have to already teach. We're starting to see, OECD on PISA 2029 will have AI literacy in media. So now standardized tests are starting to expect students to, so things are starting to align around that, but you need to be able to engage the bodies, in the country or in the region that can actually get this out to all, all students. It's very hard to get all, but basically really at scale to the public and private education system. We're having some success. We're at the beginning stages, but we're in multiple countries, like I mentioned, we're in 170 countries. We have large-scale collaborations in over 10 right now. So there's a palpable understanding that now is the time, again, to get out ahead of AI. You don't want social media to happen and have all of that chaos and then try to repair it. You got to get ahead of AI. So, and these are developing as well as developed countries who are leaning in. So it will take time. It will take time, but I feel optimistic.
Okay, one last question from the center.
Thank you very much, Cynthia. Very informative and really needed talk. My name is Serene Bataina. I'm a doctor from Just University. I just have two questions. One for students at schools. If I am to start now teaching and helping my kids, what should I do? Applicable step where we don't have any curriculum, we don't have any even way to start in the right way, because I don't know what's the right way to start with them. That's for the kids. The second question, please, is as a researcher, where do I draw the line? How do I know that I'm doing it and using AI in my research the right way and keeping my ethical values at high level without compromising them by using AI?
Yeah.
Thank you, Sam.
So I would say in terms of where to start, the Day of AI program is, again, it's designed to be more of what does it mean to be AI literate in kind of as a digital citizenship. So it really is for all students, and any teacher can teach it. It's very, I guess what I'm saying, it's very accessible. You don't have to have a lot of technological expertise or be a highly technological resource. There's modules and lessons there that are accessible. And we've seen teachers who teach art and English, like all kinds of teachers successfully use those materials. I would say that's a starting point because, again, you're competing against just the reality of teachers have to teach so much that you're trying to kind of give them the first entry point where they feel like they are building their own AI literacy. This is really important. Teachers need to feel confident that I understand it enough to bring it to my students. So in our materials, we paid a lot of attention to preparing teachers to feel AI literate and competent. So when they bring it to students, because students are, I mean, this is the other thing that's important. Students are using these technologies quite a lot. And so the dialogue, I think, that we're seeing that teachers need to have with students needs to also be collaborative because students are some ways using these technologies way more than teachers, right? So you just need to come into it knowing that it's a conversation. You're not there knowing everything. You're coming into it as a conversation. But in our experience, students really want to have the conversation. So I think that's promising. Students understand that AI is transforming everything and it's going to be important for the future. So I think there's a level of palpability and motivation behind it. So Day of AI is where I would start. I would say in terms of the ethics and responsible use, that is still very much an active area of research and development. So I'm sharing with you the kind of the principles and values of ethos with how we have designed what we've done. And many of our assessments so far have been from the teacher's perspective, because we do things under IRB. It's much easier to get data from teachers than students. Students, you really have to work with local schools. I mean, it's a very heavy effort to get student survey data. You can do it, but that's probably that's a serious research study to do at the student level, but we have been doing certain things at the teacher's perceptual level. There are a number of conferences and journals specifically trying to address how do you teach and convey, AI and ethics across grades. So I would just say, just be a part of that community. It's a very active community and it's worldwide. So just know, nobody has the answers. We're all trying to figure it out. We're all trying to figure it out. Yeah.
Alright. بس سامحوني بعرف في أكتر من إيد من هون إذا ضل معنا وقت بس عشان نكون عادلين مع الكل ما هو برضو اللي وراك كمان لهم 10 دقايق رفين خلينا إذا ضل وقت بنرجع إذا ما ضل بتقروا كمان تحكوا مع الدكتورة من هون كان
Hi, thank you so much for this. It was very eye-opening and very reflective. So I come from a sociology, social science background, which I felt in AI now and in AI technology, we are really lacking in that segment. We don't have any sociology or social sciences being integrated in the production of AI. So my question is, you said people, you said human. However, my question is, which human are we talking about? North American values, European values, and because AI is being produced by, let's say, Silicon Valley, very high economically provided companies. So how we can, especially my question is, The people who are developing AI, because AI didn't come from stars, that's why my thing. The people who developed AI, how do they reflect on this? How they consider the social economical differences that we have in people? Because from my seeing also, the people that we have very people who has, let's say, very private schools, not even public schools who are using these kind of things. So that's my question is, like, if you can elaborate on that.
Yeah. So I would say, from the educational standpoint, this is why we make all of our materials open and free, because it's up to the country, I think, to use our materials as a reference curriculum, but it does need localization in terms of cultural and educational context. The local people need to do that. We can't do that, right? And so that's why the open and free has become so important to us, and I think that's why it's being used in 170 countries, because people feel empowered to do that and translate and turn it, every country feels responsible for the education of their own children, right? We acknowledge and respect that. So we're trying to help elevate that, but we leave it to the countries to know how to do that to best serve their children. So, there is the foundation models, and there's applications and solutions you can build leveraging those foundation models. So in our educational materials, we're addressing, there are certain foundation models, and they're being developed in different countries, and you're right, it's very lopsided right now. But I think more countries are interested in building their national models. I think that's a movement you'll start to see, so trained on their data. We're starting to see that start to happen. But at least for now, we're hoping that we're educating people to be able to be responsible, culturally sensitive designers around the applications and the kinds of uses of AI. So that's where our curriculum is really trying to focus on the skills building. But the foundation of our separate technology. So I can't give you deep insight into how OpenAI and Meta and Google are building their foundation models. I just know that other countries are not, even frankly in the United States, some states are trying to think about how they build culturally specific models. So I think that's a trend. But
I think this takes us to the end of the session, and just to be fair to the online audience as well, your last answer did reflect on the question about how ethical frameworks and principles were set. Is it on the gender, privacy, data collection, and so on? But again, it touched on the same question. But you still have the chance to talk to Dr. Cynthia for a couple of minutes, exchange business cards or contacts, and to continue further the connection. I would like to thank you warmly and very much for that really informative session. Thank you so much.
Thank you.